Is here, Dr. Black. Welcome. He's also known as Baba Omotosho. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
Welcome.
Hold on, I'm gonna get on screen in 1 second.
Okay. Alice, remember you do the bio? Okay.
There we go.
Thank you so. Welcome.
Hello, ladies.
Yes, this is some of us. My name is Louisa, or let me introduce it. My first name, Oluna said, the one who has done well. Yes. I want to say thank you for this very beautiful book.
Thank y'all so
much. I read it and I cried. And that's what I was saying to them. I cried for the imperfection that is humanity.
Yes.
And for a lot of things that we don't know and a lot of unanswered questions. Yes. So please, Alice, go ahead and read his bio before we start.
Good morning, Professor, and thank you so much for joining us. For some reason, today we have a couple of males also, but I don't know why they're not on camera, but that's a whole different discussion. I'm basically putting them out there. They're right there. Sir, I just want to say, I am also thankful for this book. I literally have bought copies for each and every man that I know that is close to me because all of them need to read it. Wow. But most importantly, as a mother, I think also mothers raising boys, it's important for us to read this book. It has become like a Bible for me. But in the meantime, let me introduce you to the rest of the wonderful ladies and gentlemen who joined us today. Daniel Black is an internationally renowned award-winning novelist. His work is set and is inspired by African-American communities' lives, history, and heritage. Author of novels based in the South of the United States and exploring diverse themes such as race, religion, and sexuality. Daniel Black is a lecturer at Clark Atlanta University in African American Studies and English. He's also the winner of the Distinguished Writer Award from the Middle Atlantic Writers Association and has been nominated for the Townsend Prize for Fiction, the Ernest G. Gain Award, the Farrell Grimley Award, the Lambada Literary Award, and Georgia Author of the Year Award. And he has taken the time to join us. Please help me welcome him once again.
Please give him hearts, please.
Hearts.
Hearts, please, heart.
And I cannot wait. I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let him do what he does best.
So, once again, this is Olunosen. The reason I put this book club together is because I wanted a place where we could read books by authors of Black and African descent.
Yes.
And that is the only way we can have authentic conversation and shape our narrative. It's also an excellent way people can learn about the Black experiences from the motherland and here. So when I read this book, like I told you, I cried because this is the first time I'm reading a book written by a man.
Yes.
About a man's emotions and so on.
Yes.
The way society has shaped us, I think it has made us judge men. It has made us judge men, I don't know the lens with which it has made us judge men, but it has made us hard on men. So for me, and then the definition of manhood, the definition of love, people say the body remembers.
Yes.
And when I read about Jacob, when I read this book, I was very forgiving of Jacob because Jacob is like a typical Nigerian father.
Right.
Yeah, he's a typical African father.
Yes.
And I went online, I watched some of your videos, and there was this conversation I really enjoyed where you did with a Black man reading, that's book club. It gave me men's perspective of the book, but American men's perspective. I would have loved if we had more African men here to actually talk about, the definition of manhood. So for me, what was your inspiration for writing this book? Because I feel every man should read this book. Every African man should read this book because it goes somewhere. It just goes somewhere. It hits you, it hits different. So what was your inspiration for writing this book?
Well, I'll start by saying, again, good morning, ladies. Good morning. And thank you all for reading this book. Thank you for finding it valuable. I think it's extremely, extremely important because you're right, Louisa, and that is there are not enough texts and not enough books that explore men's inner self, men's feelings, and which leads too many people to think that men don't have them, but that's not true. It is simply and absolutely not true. And I wrote this book because I've been teaching at a black college here in Atlanta for 30 years,
Okay.
and I always hear boys boast about, brag about the beauty and the wonder of their mothers. And I always wonder, where's your daddy? It's always mama who's awesome. It's always mama who's calling on the phone. It's always mama who's doing this or that. And I always have wondered, where is your father? Why don't boys boast about their daddies? And what I realize is that there's an emotional gap, an emotional divide between too many black fathers and sons. And I wanted to help fill that gap. The first thing I wanted to do is to help discover what the problem is. And the problem is that fathers withhold their hearts.
Yeah.
And whether son or daughter, all a child wants is really their parent's heart. That's all any child wants. And so I decided to write a book where the father finally gives his son his heart.
Hmm.
And you're right, the irony of the title says, "Don't cry for me." But that's exactly what the book makes you do.
Yeah.
Because his heart is so full. Jacob's heart is so heavy. And, there's so many things in this book. Jacob participates in the ruining of this little boy, Elliot, when he's a child.
Yeah.
But the irony is he ends up birthing him later in life because his own son is Elliot.
Yeah.
And what it shows you is that you can never determine what kind of son you're going to get. You can never determine what kind of child you're going to get. A parent's job is not to put in an order for children. A parent's job is to take the children you get and to understand that whatever children you get is the children God meant for you to have.
Yeah.
But this is a man who has spent his life trying, for all practical purposes, to send his child back. To say, God, you must have made a mistake. This can't be my son. I would never have had a son like this. But by the time he gets to the end of his life, what Jacob realizes is all any person would want at the end of their life is loved ones. And now he's trying to figure out how to make a connection to his son and how to give Isaac the kind of love that he hopes will keep him from hating him the rest of his life. That's what he's praying for. That's what he's really hoping for. And I think it happens. By the time he gets to the end.
Him. But he did love his son.
He loved him. He loved him. Yeah. Well, he loved him the way you're supposed to love a child because you had one. He doesn't love him because he likes him. Okay. Right? He does not understand the beauty of who his son is. He does not embrace who his son is. He embraces the fact that he has a son, but he doesn't want one like this. And the truth of the matter is, even after it purges and all that, Jacob still doesn't get all the way there in terms of totally accepting Isaac. He never arrives at that place. He just gets much, much, much closer. I will tell you, ladies, that the sequel, Isaac's Response, I've already written.
Woo, that made me so happy. Sorry, I had to come on and say that.
Hallelujah to that.
Yes. Yes.
Already
Can we
done.
have it tomorrow?
I guess we're having him back, right? We're having him back. Yes.
That was my second question to you, Dr. Black. Thank you.
Yes, it's on the way. It's on the way. It's already written. It's already done. So it'll probably
Beautiful.
take 6
That's
to 8
all I
months.
want. I'm like,
Beautiful. Okay. So another question I would like to quickly ask is, I realized that you see the Bible names, Abraham, Esau, Rachel,
Jacob, Isaac, yes.
Yeah, these were very, because I had to go back to the things that happened to them in the Bible. These are not just random names.
Right.
Very significant names. Why?
Because this is the Abraham, Isaac, Jacob story from the Bible. This is the story of a man who sacrificed everything That's the story of Abraham biblically.
Mhm.
God asked Abraham for a sacrifice, and he asked him, would you sacrifice the thing you love most to be obedient to me? And Abraham says yes. And Abraham is just about to sacrifice his own son, and then God stops him.
Ooh, okay.
Abraham proves that he would. This is the same story. This is a story of black men
Okay.
who will sacrifice for their sons everything except their hearts.
Okay. So before I open the floor for people to ask questions, I had made a note towards the end. So you described death as a woman. And I said, when I first read, oh, she came, I know people have said, oh, death is a woman. Oh, she came, we're dressed in blue and the dangling earrings. Why was death not a man dressed in a blue in a dashiki? Why was death not a man? Why was it a woman?
Because death is vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Death is beauty. Death is sensual. Death is tender.
Okay.
Death is not ugly. Death is not hard. Death is not strength. Death is at our tenderest moment. And those traits are far more feminine in society than masculine.
Okay, fair enough. I might agree. So please, any questions, please? Shola, you want to ask a question?
Hi, welcome again, Dr. Black. And
Hello.
Lisa, you stole my main question. So you actually, and Dr. Black himself stole my second question because he answered it already. So, but I just wanted
now, are most of you from Nigeria?
No, some of us. No, just some of us.
Just some of us.
Just some of us. Just some. But some, I think the others are from the Caribbean and I think other parts of Africa.
So some of you from Nigeria, then you might have heard my name, Omotosho.
Yeah, I was asking them the meaning of Omotosho. I started, please, who can pronounce? Bukola, please pronounce it. How is it said?
Omotosho.
Omotosho.
Yeah,
Omotosho. Okay, and the meaning? I was asking about the meaning this morning, the meaning.
So we're saying that the literal meaning, the general meaning is a child is a blessing.
Yes.
But then the literal meaning is that this child has come to add beauty. So Omo is a child. And then the second part, Tosho, is like almost to beautify something, to make your home better and more beautiful. Yeah.
Yes.
The Tosho part, the fact that it's tall, means that it means that the child is enough to make me beautiful. Like
exactly.
Omotosho, it's enough to beautify me.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I've been told. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why you are Baba Omotosho.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful.
So I'll quickly just
Okay,
recap, just do a quick. So I wouldn't repeat all of the things that I said earlier about reading this book and about how we saw the fear of Jacob. We saw the bullying with Elliot and the generational trauma of this book, the lost opportunities between the relationship between Rachel and Jacob, which will have been a really, really beautiful one, and the courage for Jacob to start something new. I love the hospital scene and the story about Miss Hallelujah. I love the fact that that was hilarious for me, and I totally could relate with that. And then I love how he wanted his son to be proud of him when he took Isaac to homeland, and how he was spinning stories about things that he didn't do, but how he wanted to. He could see that the son loved. So it's a tragic book in that there were so many missed opportunities, and like a lot of people have said that this is a book for everyone to read. So I just want to say thank you because you've answered my two questions. And what I didn't see is the part that the irony of Jacob birthing Elliot, and more like God be like, okay, now you've been given this opportunity. What are you going to do with it?
Yes. And I certainly agree with Bukola in that that scene of Isaac painting that picture, I think is so moving and so poignant, because what he's really doing is showing his father how much he loves him. Right?
Yeah.
But Daddy is so, Jacob is so fragile emotionally that he really does not see the largesse. He does not see the real power of what his son has done, not until years and years and years later. Right?
Yeah.
And in some ways, this book is exactly that it's about all the unbelievable missed opportunities where they could have bonded, where they could have held hands, where they could have cried together. But the problem is that Jacob wants a different kind of boy. Jacob wants a masculinity that Isaac does not and is unwilling to attempt to provide. Isaac is smart, Isaac is wonderful, Isaac is all of these things, but he is not traditionally masculine. And that is what Jacob wants. Jacob wants a traditional son, and Isaac is not that. And I think of it as kind of the way we predetermine people and their personalities. And it makes me even think of how we've predetermined who God is. So that I fear you all that that if God appeared in person, most of us would not prefer God, because we have a notion of God in our heads that we like. We have the way we've understood God. We have a perception of God in our minds. And if God doesn't fit that, I think we would dismiss God too.
Well, you see, from everything you said and him not wanting the version of manhood that was his son, it just goes to show you that in life, you don't really get to pick and choose many times.
That's right.
Because before his son was gay, he was a son, he was a man. That's the first thing. And one thing I liked about this, which just shows me that, you see, despite the years, despite the distance, where they say the body remembers, we're still the same as Africans. Blood connects us, is the importance of home. In Nigeria, in Africa, it's still the same. You know, when you describe how poor a man is, you will say, he was so poor, he was so wretched, he had no land. He owned no block, no single block to his name. He had no single block to his name.
Right.
And that is why for us as Nigerians, wherever you are, when a man dies or you die, you are taken back home to be buried. In some situations, yes, they tend to bury people in foreign lands, but on foreign soil. But if you can afford it, you take them back home, not just back home, back to the village, back to their father's compound.
Yes.
So when you go into some Nigerian family houses, you will see graves, grandfather, father, son, you see. So what was it about home? Because it's so important. It's almost like even when Africans were forcefully taken away, you know, from the motherland and brought to the Americas to work, there was something in their hearts that could not be destroyed. And that's the sense of home.
That's right.
So what was it? Yeah, because I noticed that here.
Jacob has that. And that sense of home for him, of course, is Arkansas.
Yeah.
And he takes Isaac there. He's really taking Isaac there as a gift. He's trying to give Isaac an inheritance, a legacy. Because what Jacob does believe is his home rearing in Arkansas is the greatest, that land is the greatest thing he has inherited. He thinks it is his greatest possession. And that's where he feels good about himself. He boasts of himself. He gets his joy and happiness arrives when he goes home. Because home for Jacob is worth, it is value, it is identity. And so when he introduces his son to this land and to this home and to this place, it makes him feel like a man because I get to introduce my son to my context. You know, and it's true. And of course, Isaac sees that joy on his father. And Isaac remembers how happy his daddy is, which is why Isaac paints that picture. It's not just that he remembers what home looks like. He remembers his father's joy while they were there. Because in Kansas City, his father seemed mean to him and unwelcoming and harsh. But he softens when they go home because Jacob doesn't have to try so hard when he's in Arkansas, because the land that gives him worth, it gives him value. It undergirds his notion of who he is. And ironically, when this book ends, Jacob tells Isaac, even if you don't want it, give it to some black child somewhere.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like, keep it in blackdom.
In black, yes. Just keep it black.
Keep it black.
Yeah, Alice, I see your hand up.
Yes. So just joining what everybody was saying for the past few minutes. Sir, if you allow me, just going to quote you. You did say in one of the interviews, and I believe it was also, the real failure, if there is a failure in Black men, has not been lack of work ethic or a lack of love.
Mhm.
It has been thinking that exposing their heart will destroy them. And it is the heart that the children have been dying for. For me, that sentence touched me to the core. Through the books, for some reason, I was able to kind of see parallels with my own life. So my parents are originally from Rwanda, and I was raised in Baltimore. Went back to the motherland because my parents decided to go back and wanted to work there. And then now I'm living in Canada. And one of the things that my parents have always done was taking us back home. But my mother also raised us telling us, you can't always, if you can't go home physically, remember that your heart is where your home is.
Yes, yes.
And your roots are in your heart.
Yes.
So if you can touch the soil, if you can hold the soil, in my country, the soil is red. If you can hold the red soil of our land, remember that same red exists in your hearts.
That's right.
As long as you are committed to remember your values, your culture, your heritage, you will be able to pass it on, and your heart will become your land.
Yes.
And that for me has been, through the book, I was like, oh my God, I can see, like, for me, Jacob is my grandfather who had to let his son leave the land. He had a hard time accepting that, oh, my son is going to the white people country.
Right.
Then afterwards, through the book, by the time that he is confessing on how he felt, and when he's talking about his relationship with Isaac's mother, I saw my father when he taught us how we should. I have 3 brothers, and he always told me, you can't be disrespected by men, but the only way you won't be disrespected by men is if you respect yourself first.
Yes.
Remember that you have a heritage of strong women within you, but don't do what you don't want to be done to you. So if you want to be respected, remember that you have to respect men as much as they have to respect you. Don't let yourself be disrespected, but never disrespect men. Give them their space to be the men they are, or the men they want to be. I find that for an African father, my father and I have a very close relationship, so he can get easier into his emotion with me. But I also observe the masculinity that he has inherited through the generation when within his relationship with others, either other men or my brothers or my mom. And I found that this book has brought so many, there's so many things that we can talk about, but that particular home, belonging, being part of, having roots somewhere, I feel like we all looking and trying to figure it out. And for many of us who have immigrated, for example, sometimes we feel like we're losing that sense. Is it something that you have observed through the years? But for example, being a professor in a Black university, is it something that you have come across?
It's what exactly something that I've come across? Like what exactly is your question?
That lack of identity, or the search of rule, being attached and belonging to somewhere.
Yes. I would definitely say that's something that I've come across. I think some of that is because there are lots and lots and lots, not all, but there are lots of children, girls and boys, who are physically or emotionally separated from fathers, who grew up with mothers. I know my father, but he didn't grow up with me. Or I never knew my father. There are all these gaps between kids, children, and fathers. And that leaves a lot of children wondering, who they are. That leaves a lot of children angry. It leaves a lot of children furious. It leaves a lot of children also very insecure. And also not knowing even their, many kids know their mother's lineage, but they don't know their father's lineage, although very often they carry his name. So I'm hoping this book will teach not just sons, I'm hoping this book will also teach fathers that if you're estranged from your children, go find them, go get them. I don't care how long it's been. They might be mad at you. A child is only mad at you because he wants you. Get up, and if you've not talked to them in 10 years, go find them. Go, if they cuss you out, just let them cuss you out and get past it. But do not live the rest of your life as a stranger to your own child.
And I think another mistake many people make when it comes to this is because we think we have time.
That's right. That's right. You don't. You do not.
We think we have time because a close friend of mine lost her dad recently, and I reached out to her. I was broken. Oh, so sorry about your dad. And she goes, it's okay. And I'm wondering, okay, so just okay. She went, well, he wasn't close to any of us, all 6 of us. He wasn't close to any of us. So he was more or less a stranger to us. So no emotional attachment, nothing. They're just going to bury him just because they feel, you know what, is what needs to be done. But there are just no emotions. And she said 2 of her siblings were broken because they were angry with him for not being in their life. But I think the assumption was we have time and one day all of us would sit together, we would cry, we would fight, but time.
That's right. You don't have it.
We don't have it. And you know, I was reading here, page 39, and it takes me to the relationship between the men here and their women. It said we were taught what to think and not how.
Yes.
Because I feel that this makes us too hard on men in the society and the expectations. A man is expected to provide. A man is expected to be a man. And when you find yourself with a man who cannot provide in that context, it becomes a problem. Yeah, so that's what I feel that it's made. Do you think that the society and generational trauma has made us judge men through very harsh lenses? Because it's easier for you to forgive her. Okay, yeah, oh, she was crying. Yeah, it's a woman. Be gentle with her. But if it's a man, you see a man who breaks down and starts to cry, like I said at the beginning when all of us were chatting before you joined us. If you find a man, like even till date, I don't know how I would respond unless for something serious and very traumatic. And okay, yes, a man was crying. Okay, he's crying because he lost someone. But if I had a man who cried at the drop of a hat, I think the first thing I'm going to say, like as a Nigerian woman, is what's wrong with this one? So do you think that generational trauma, societal expectation has made us judge men or too harshly or expect or have unrealistic expectations of men?
I think so. Certainly unrealistic expectations. I think that our notions of manhood, both African and diasporan, I think our definitions of manhood are far too rigid. And quite frankly, what I also think is men expect too much. I think men like a narrow masculinity, and I think women do too. There are too many women who like men in that traditional hard way, like I don't want a crying man. I've heard so many say, I don't want no sensitive man. I've heard many women say, I don't want a man who cries as much as I do. Right? And oh wow, that must be some of you who said it. But see, that's the problem. That's a problem. And the reason that's a problem is a man should be able to cry as much as he feels it. It should have nothing to do with how much you cry. If he cries twice as much as you, why can't that be perfectly and absolutely wonderfully fine? Because it's just who he is. And that's the problem. The problem is that we don't want boys as they are. We want them shaped up into this into this societal notion of masculinity that makes people feel safe, makes people feel like provided for. We want all these performative notions of what manhood means, not what a man thinks, not what he really feels. And the problem here is that Isaac is a feeling child. He's a child who feels deeply, and Jacob hates it. He absolutely, but it doesn't mean Isaac is not a wonderful little boy. And it doesn't mean he's not a fantastic man now. It means he's a feeling one. But we've got to decide, both men and women, if we have space for feeling men and to still see them as fully and completely and absolutely still men. And I think women and men struggle with that, quite frankly.
I think I think I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty. No, Alice, you're laughing. No, this book taught me that it's okay. Because as much as I love and I appreciate a vulnerable man, a man who is in touch with his feelings and able to say how he feels, a man who cries a lot.
I'm laughing because I'm also guilty of that.
I'm just going to be wondering, let me say it the Nigerian way, what is wrong with this one? That is what we are going to say as Nigerians. What is wrong with this one? How can you be crying?
Nothing's wrong with him.
Nothing. Because you see, okay, let me explain this scenario. In African cultures, when a person is being buried, and let's say an elderly person or so is being buried, a husband, the wife is expected to cry. And when I say cry, it's not just sob. She is expected to throw herself on the floor, stand. Then after some time, she makes a false attempt to jump into the grave, and then they hold her back. So when they are talking about it, they will say she was such a good wife. She loved her husband so much that when he was being buried, she tried to jump into the grave. Everybody will say, yeah, she's a good wife. And people in some cultures down in the Delta, that's in the South, I'm from the South, but like in the South, we have professional criers.
Yes.
You hire them and they're always drunk. That's what I realized. Those people are always drunk. You hire them just to come and cry for the man. So they will say he was such a good man. But that expectation is not, that is the expectation of a woman and not the expectation of a man.
Yes.
As a man, they'll tell you, be a man, control yourself. You are a man.
Yes.
You can cry in the privacy of your room, your bedroom, but you shouldn't be seen crying in public. So this book
and that's a problem.
Yeah, it helped me understand that, you know what? It's okay to be. Yes, it's just okay to be. But the societal expectation is a man should be a certain way. I am very close to my father, and we have amazing conversations, even though we don't agree all the time. But I have never hugged my father, never. And I don't think that I have never hugged him makes him not love me. It's not the expectation. I can hug my mom. Oh, yeah, I can hug my mom. But my father is my father. So, you put your father up there, and then your mom is here with you. That's why some people say as parents age, it's mothers who enjoy children and not fathers. So maybe they too, they want that kind of love, but they don't know how to say pride. They don't know how to say it. Bukola, please, I see your hand up.
I just wanted to make a quick point that you're very right about societal expectation, but that it actually does a disservice to both men and women.
That's right.
So my husband actually, he cries more than I do, but that doesn't mean I don't feel, so in that experience you were saying at a funeral, everybody expects all the women to be crying and all the men to be stoic. But the funny thing, the fact that I cry more in private, I'll more readily cry reading a book than cry in front of people. And my daughter is exactly like that. She would hold it together, and as soon as she gets home, she releases it. And I'm a bit like that. And society would judge me as wrong and say, oh, her father died and she didn't cry. You didn't see me cry, but I didn't cry in front of everyone. So I think it actually damages everyone, all those societal expectations.
Yeah, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, and what was it with the relationship between the men and the women in this book? Because I feel that because of the way the men were raised, some of them felt the women were not submissive to them because the women did not live in fear of them. Like Jacob's mom. Her husband killed her, and granddaddy said she brought it upon herself. because she wasn't submissive. And then he goes back to what the Bible says. So I don't know. You see, my understanding is, I have a friend here who I'm always arguing about, submission, respect, all of that with. He's a man. I personally feel that, yes, we are equal. We can talk and we can reason at the same level. But I also feel there are expectations of a man, maybe because of society. Okay, I'll explain it this way. I don't expect to go on a date with you and I pay for that date. I still feel, yes, you see, so I think I'm still biased. Yeah, I'm a work in progress, and this book has done that.
So you think the man should always pay on the date?
Not always pay. So if he's asking me out, he should pay. But yeah, but when we get to that level of comfort, I can always.
If you ask him out, you should pay.
But I won't ask him out. If I ask him out, I will pay, but I won't ask him out because I'm a woman. I expect to be wooed. You see?
Oh yes, but see, here's the issue with that. There's something else that's included in what you're saying, but we're not saying it out loud, and that is, if you expect to be wooed, you also have to expect to be ruled.
Oh.
Mic drop.
Okay, now I'm looking for where to hide.
You've killed Louisa.
Because see,
this has killed me.
See, because if he pays for the dates and all of this, he's also paying for the right to tell you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me nice.
Deep. That's deep. We don't. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the comment. My friend is here. He's actually a Nigerian man. His camera is off. He said, let me see. Assuming you are in the middle of a terrible storm and you see the captain of the ship crying and succumbing to the challenges, I wonder what the hope the people in the boat have. So it is still questioning the definition of masculinity. Okay, so I have never looked at it.
But it's doing something else too, and that is, why can't a person cry and still think well? Why does crying have to ruin a person's sensibilities? Why does crying have to ruin a person's good sight? Why can't you cry and still fight hard and be strong?
But it's tough. So let's say you are crying now. Oh, I'm crying. I mean, you can't see, right? You're driving and you're crying. You can't see. So I don't know. But for me, like you said, if you expect to be wooed, you should expect to be ruled. I have never thought of that. Never. And I think it's also because of the expectations of the society, because we are raised to believe that if you approach a man, if you show a man you are interested in him, you make yourself cheap. A man is the conqueror. The man is the beast. A man is a hunter. When they talk about the thrill of the chase, you got
to follow the metaphor on out. If the man is the hunter, that means he's prepared to devour you
as the prey.
Ooh. Absolutely.
Ooh.
I think we need to be checking on Louisa after the session because it's like.
I agree. Lisa, I will pass by just to make sure that you're still alive.
I'm just going to lie down, cool down my drinks, and just sleep. I don't want to talk to anybody.
It's true, though. It's true. And we as men, we're taught this.
Yeah.
We're taught that, yes, you chase a woman, yes. But see, you chase a thing because you're trying to capture it. But a woman doesn't want to be captured.
No.
But then if you want to be chased, the end result of being chased is to be captured. So you've got to first give up being chased. Right? And this whole notion that a man is supposed to be the one who initiates, a man is supposed to be the one who comes after me. That can work if you're willing to serve him.
I just want to add on something because this is where I was going when I raised my hand when we start talking about relationship between men and women. So as much as everything that had been said, yes, you want to be chased, you have to accept to be captured. And once you are captured, you have to obey. But the reverse thing also becomes toxic because when you are a woman and you say, I want to be part, when you are inviting me, I want to share. I ate, you ate, let me share the bill. Oh, you're trying to diminish me. You're trying to show me that I'm not a man enough to take care of you. I didn't say that. Oh, I just said I want to pay my part.
Yes, yes.
But then it becomes a whole power dynamic.
It
Oh,
does.
you don't want, and
It does.
this is a question that I wanted to ask you, because I listened to one of the conversation that you had with men, and I want, where and how are we going to find a mirror understanding? Because if I say I want to be your partner, I want to equally participate to this dynamic, I'm being told you're too pushy, you're too independent, I can't deal with you because you don't need me. What do you mean I don't need you? I don't need you maybe financially, but I might need you emotionally. I might need you for other things. Oh, you are looking for someone who's going to repair your keyboards in your kitchen. Where did I say all of that? So how can men and women figure it out? Because when we say, okay, I want you to pursue me, you expect us to now become your emotional slaves, basically.
That's right.
But at the same time, if I want to be an equal partner, you start bringing your issues onto me, and you think that I am devaluing your worth. Where do we figure out this?
Let me tell you how I would answer this. When you present to a man, I would love to be your partner, right? I'd love to be your partner. Or even we go to dinner. Hey, let's pay 50-50. And I've seen what you said. And a man says, no, you're trying to diminish my masculinity or whatever. Here's what you should do. At that very second, you should say, we can only be friends. The end. At that very second, entertain him no more romantically, because he's not prepared for you. He's not ready for you. And here, the issue is too many desperate women are willing to take the trifling men, so men don't have to do any better. And what I'm saying is, if women hold a standard, men will do nothing but rise to it.
Yes, I believe that. I believe that. Yes, I
So
believe.
please repeat that one more time. One more time. Please repeat that.
Say for those at the back.
This spoke to my spirit.
It's true. It's true. It's true. Your notion that, hey, brother, I just want to walk with you in this equally, I think that is honorable and beautiful and spiritual. And until a man can walk with that, don't even consider him romantically. Don't even consider it. Don't even pray about it. Don't even consider him. And don't feel bad about yourself. Leave him right there. Leave him right there.
Okay.
Leave him right there.
Let me see. Laide, once I finish, I'll call Laide, then Lola. Okay, in terms of equality, I personally feel that you can't be equal in everything. There are things as a woman I'll be better at, and there are things as a man you'll be better at.
That's true, but it will balance. I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right. But the problem is this. Like, you might have daughters.
Mm-hmm.
You might do their hair.
Yeah.
But it's not because you were born knowing how to do hair. It's because as a girl, you learned it.
Yeah.
And I'm saying a man can learn it too.
Yes.
A man could learn it too. We just don't require that. Here's the problem. But mothers take their sons to the barbershop too.
Yeah.
So then why can't a father tell his girl what to do when her period comes? See, all of this is learned knowledge. It's not stuff girls are born knowing. We just train girls to know it because we're training girls to be mothers. We're not training boys to be fathers. Boys just become fathers. We train girls to be fathers mothers from the time they're little girls. How do you know? We give them things called dolls. A doll is a little baby. We're trying to get a girl used to taking care of somebody else. That's why we don't give boys dolls.
Nope.
Because we don't think their job is to take care of other people.
Nope.
We give boys trucks, etc., which means we think a boy's job is to have pleasure. But a girl's job is to serve.
Hmm.
The problem with that is that those two will not meet on one accord.
Mm.
So as my sister was saying, Alice, you're going to get this tension because then a sister arrives and says, hell, let's build a partnership. And all the man wants to do is tell her what to do and leave. But if women will say, hey, brother, you've got to come to the table, prepared to see me, honor me, respect me, and I will give you the same in return. No issue. I'll give you the same. And until you do, there's nothing more we can speak about.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautifully said. Because I feel that, you see, as kids growing up, in Nigeria, you would have the girl back home in the kitchen cooking, the boy would be playing football. I think that's why I still hate table tennis till tomorrow. On my street, first thing in the morning, the boys would be there playing tennis and the girls would be at home cooking. And I used to say then that, you see, when you raise children, I feel that you should raise them the same way. Boys should learn to cook and clean so that they are not a liability to somebody else's daughter in the future.
And they really should learn to cook and clean just so they can feed themselves, not because it has anything to do with the girl. So you know how to feed yourself. And
the life skill.
And so you know how to maintain family so that you don't see the woman. See, most men see their wives as their maids. We think a wife and a maid is the same thing.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Lydia, please ask your question.
I don't know. I lost my train of thought. So many gems being dropped. Good morning, Baba Caro. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, I read the book. It was very emotional, and I'm a little biased because one of my best friends is the first openly gay Nigerian who is now married to a lawyer from Australia who lives in England. It's his story to tell. I won't go into that. But he recently lost his father, whom he had sought forgiveness from regarding being homosexual. So when this book was introduced, I first saw your book with Steph Curry.
Yes.
I didn't pay any attention to it, but then I paid attention to Louisa, of course. So I read it. And then when my friend's dad died, he was in a similar situation. They were able to reconcile. This just happened this January. They were able to reconcile after over 25 years, because he came out accidentally on live TV in Nigeria, which led to him having to flee the country because he was going to be murdered. So anyways, I recommended your book. I'm not sure if he has read it, but I gave him pretty much the and so I just wanted to say thank you to you for that. So I'm a little biased about LGBTQ stuff.
I understand.
So thank you. And then regarding paying for stuff, unfortunately, one of the ways that Nigerian women, I always say Nigerian women or men, because that's mostly what I know. One of the ways that we've been trained to acknowledge interest and love from our men is through money and gifts. And I think about it as I get older, and from even listening to you, it's all a form of control.
Yes.
It's all a form of control. You don't need to buy anything. Like, especially I can buy myself those things, but it's just you looking for a shortcut to catch me, like a prey, just like you said. So I really have no questions, just acknowledgements and thank you.
Thank you so very, very much.
You're welcome, sir.
I've got about 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah. So please, who else has a question? Camille, you've not said anything. Camille, go ahead and ask your question, please. We have 10 minutes.
Yes, I'll be quick. So I'm Jamaican, and my question is really about, I'm just gonna try and read quickly the first paragraph on page 1. When in 2013, my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, I knew what it meant. He'd soon forget, and he'd done or said to me over the years. In fact, he'd need my sympathy, perhaps my financial assistance. His memory faded away. For a long time, I had wanted us to hash things out, to speak honestly about how we had hurt or disappointed one another over the years, but Daddy's mind left like a dream at dawn. And now the encounter would happen only in my imagination. So when I read that, I thought of the time when my father was battling cancer. Well, not much battling. It between diagnosis and death, it was 7 months. And I wanted that as well, that hashing out of, you know, whatever happened in the past, but that didn't happen. But it also brought to mind that there was a point in my life before he died, years before he died, that I had not stopped, but I had started to look at my parents another way.
Right.
Yes, there is mommy and daddy, but there is also, there is Grace and Lloyd. These were two people who did what the best they could. They grew up however they did, and they met and they raised children. So I wanted to know, at what point did you look at your father differently so that you could write a book like this and not just say, oh, daddy, but the man that my father was?
You know, I think I was fully an adult. All right. I think I was fully an adult before I realized that I was as much a man as my father was. Right. And I realized that I wasn't as old as him, but I was as much a man as him. And what I realized is I had to stop myself from thinking that if I disagreed with my father, somehow I was wrong. Somehow I had faltered because he and I weren't saying the same thing. That wasn't true at all. Daddy had notions of things and I had notions of things, right? And I think once Daddy became ill and Daddy needed me, now the tables had turned and I was providing for him. I began to see, oh, my manhood does not need Daddy's approval in order for it to be legitimate. And so I decided I was going to write this book because I wanted to set myself and Daddy free. Daddy, we don't have to agree. You can have your notion of things. I can have mine. I love you and honor you. And no, we don't agree. No, we don't. But I still honor you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And once I got clear of that, I got set free.
Beautiful. Please, before we forget, I mean, we have just a few minutes. Let's take a picture with Baba and our books before we forget. Please, 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 please.
And y'all post this picture, please.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay.
I've posted one already. I've already posted
fantastic.
one and tagged you.
Okay.
Not only
Where
are
are your
we going
books?
to post,
Let me get mine. Let me get mine.
Okay, get yours.
Please make sure that you do give a review also to the book.
Please, yes. Write a review.
These are the moments.
Miss Hamilton. Oh, sorry. Oh, Ethiopia. Okay, great. Okay, he's coming with his book. Just a minute. Yeah. Okay, beautiful. So say cheese, everyone.
Cheese.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so
I hope you take more than one.
I took two.
I took one as well.
So the reason why I did that is so we would not, we have to take this before, so we don't forget. Yes, we just have barely 4 minutes. Before Lola says hers, I would just like to say this before I forget that Baba Motosho, I want to say a very big thank you for this book.
Oh, thank y'all.
You have made me cry. You have made me go deep into myself to think of a lot of things. You guys check up on me.
We will. I was about to say, I will come to see if she's still breathing.
Check up on me to know how I'm doing with all of this. Okay. Lola, please go ahead and ask your question. Lola is actually a therapist. Yeah. Lola, please ask your question.
Hi, Dr. Black. Thank you so
Hello.
much for this book. And thank you for the wisdom that you have dropped today. I, like Louisa, I feel like I got a lot out of today. But I just really wanted, from a psychological point of view, in terms of crying, I think, yes, there's been a lot of disservice that has been done to just in general to all humankind about emotions. You know, our emotions are innate to us. And one of the ways that we express emotions is to cry.
Yes.
And crying is a great stress reliever. There is actually science that shows that when you cry, you release cortisol, which is a harmful thing in the body. So why can women cry and not men cry? And we don't stop baby boys from crying. So why are we stopping men from crying?
That's right.
So there's a lot of stuff that we need to re-educate ourselves on.
That's
And
right.
this is a great conversation starter. Thank you so much for the book. I appreciated it. I appreciated the courage of the father, and I look forward to reading Isaac's response. Thank you.
Oh, you are most welcome. Absolutely, absolutely. And you're going to love Isaac's response.
Thank you so. In fact, when Isaac's response comes out, I'm going to reach out again for that.
Absolutely.
This book has just taught me that there is no manual on the perfect parenting.
That's right. That's right.
And yes, so there is no manual on the perfect parenting. 2, we think we have time. There is no time. 3, the power of forgiveness.
That's right.
Yeah. Forgiveness is not for the other person. It's for you.
It's for you.
Because when you don't forgive, unforgiveness is like taking poison and expecting the other person to die.
That's right.
Yeah, that is what I have gathered from this book. So if anybody has any last words before we let Baba go.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I
Thank
really
you.
hope that once
Thank you for
the sequel
coming.
comes out, you will join us again. Thank you
Join
for
us again.
the
And we'll keep sharing
educational
it.
Please,
conversation that
everybody,
we had
give him
today.
hearts. Everybody, give him hearts. Give him hearts.
Hugs.
Hugs.
Thanks for the
Yeah.
wisdom as well. Thank you for all the
Yeah.
wisdom. Thank you.
Thank
Many
you, ladies,
thanks.
so
Many
much.
thanks.
Let me know if y'all need me again.
Okay.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
we will.
Absolutely.
We will.
And by the
We
way,
will.
I have a brand new book coming out on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday,
Oh, what's it
Okay.
called?
Ooh, what's
Yes,
it
I
called?
saw that on your page.
called Black
Oh,
on
yeah,
Black.
countdown.
Yeah.
Black on
Black
black.
on
I saw
Black.
that as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
I guess we found our, for the next months, we will definitely get back to you.
Get back to
And
me,
I'm
no
gonna
problem.
I'm gonna recommend for them to read Perfect Peace because that's one of my favorite books.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
that one's another level.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so
I guess
much.
this is, there's going to be a lot of dates with you,
No
basically.
problem.
That's
Let
what
me
we're
know,
saying.
ladies. No problem.
And
We're
need more
inviting you
time.
out.
We'll need more time with you too, because that was an
Yeah.
amazing conversation.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank y'all so
This is
much.
powerful.
Just let me know.
All right.
Hearts,
Thank you
hearts,
very
hearts,
much.
hearts, ladies,
Hugs,
hearts.
hugs, everybody. Hugs.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right,
Thank
bye.
you.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh my goodness, that was something else.
Wait.